Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach,
And I'm Pepper.
and today we're here with our top 10 surprising games, or surprises, I guess, positive surprises, unless Pepper went against what I said we were doing. He did ask me positive, negative, both. So these are positive surprises that we had in board games. So, like, maybe a game we went into with hesitation or maybe no expectations or something like that, something along those lines. And then we're like, pleasantly surprised
Yes,
by the
went
game.
into it shaking in fear, and ended up it was all right.
It's all right, all right, all right. But yeah, we'll just go through. These are going to be a surprise to both of us. If we end up having the same ones, we kind of have them in order, but
Yeah, yeah,
we'll just name them if we match on any. Uh,
yes.
but yeah, you want me to start?
You can start it off. So we're just going to be on BGG. We didn't make any special slides here for this. So as he names them, I will just search them in there in that engine and hopefully be able to find these games.
We'll see if he can even spell this.
Oh God. Yes.
So this one is Raiders of Scythia.
Oh boy.
And I was debating whether or not to put this one on here. So anyone that has maybe played Raiders of Scythia or Raiders of the North Sea or follows Garfield games at all knows this was kind of a bit of a re-implementation of Raiders of the North Sea with
Yeah.
some changes. And I was kind of like, I really like the Raiders of the North Sea artwork. Really like Raiders. I don't know what this is going to bring to the table, and you know why it needs to necessarily exist because I had already thought like Raiders was probably, especially at the time this came out, probably one of their best games, if not
Yeah.
their best
Yeah.
game. And I mean, I think it's still for me right up there as one of their best. But now I think of it as maybe Raiders of Scythia more than Raiders of the North Sea because the artwork's grown on me and it just has a few things that just feel a little bit better, I think, than Raiders of the North Sea does. And I believe I haven't played with the expansions in Raiders of the North Sea, but I think some of the things were maybe implemented from those expansions. So you could
Oh
argue that
yes.
you can maybe get to this end state with the expansions to that one. Uh,
Yeah.
but I don't know if it had like so there's these eagles and there are horses that kind of allow you to do bonus things, get bonus points potentially. The I don't know. I think just what it did for the game surprised me because I did not expect it to be much of a difference, and I think all the differences were really good, and it brings the Raiders game up for me like probably 10, 20 spots in my top games of all time,
Oh
I
yeah.
think. So
Yeah.
that's how it was surprising. That's why it's my number 10. I didn't know if it really should be on there because I did already really like Raiders of the North Sea.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in here and join you with this one. This one was one of the early ones that I wrote down because I just remember thinking, "Oh, great, Raiders of the North Sea," but with less color, boring artwork, probably just took out all the fun and made it super dry and Euro-y, and just based on kind of far out view of the artwork changes, I guess that opinion was, or that fear. And when we started playing it, it just goes, it packs more into the game. It doesn't,
Hmm.
like you said, it feels like they add expansions and they did bring some bits in there, but it still feels like a base game. It doesn't feel overstuffed.
No,
Uh, and those birds are amazing birds and horses, as well as the artwork has grown on me quite a bit, and I think I do prefer it. I still like the board of North Sea,
hmm,
but the
I'd agree.
carved artwork I think I prefer in Scythia. So yeah, this one blew me away. And, definitely makes my list. Probably a little higher than 10, but I'll just join you at 10 since no need to go and talk about it later.
Sounds good. I didn't know if it'd be on yours or not. If you would uh, think it's kind of just a re-implementation of a game we already
How could I
like.
say no? How could I say no to that?
How could you say no? That is a good point. That's a good point. Uh, but yeah, you want to do your next one? I guess what
Uh,
would have been maybe your 10? I guess.
Sure. My number 10 is, I was between this and another game, and I think I was maybe just a little more optimistic about the outcome of the other game, where this one I don't think I had any expectations, and that is Firenze. This is a game that you just look at it and it's like, okay, here's another Euro game. Going to be very boring, and it is Euro-y. It's not like a super thematic game, but something about the game and these stacking of towers throughout the game. It's you gain the towers in the little market system, and trying to continue adding to these towers and then cashing them out to claim spots on these colored towers out here was very approachable, and it just felt different at the time. We had a lot smaller collection. Maybe if we were introduced to it now, it wouldn't have felt unique, but something about it just felt unique and fresh at the time, and I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, I would agree. I probably went into it. I couldn't really remember what I was thinking of it, but I'm guessing I had a little higher expectations than you did because I do tend to like the Euro style games a little bit more than you do. So I usually probably go into these type with or higher expectations than you do, and I did enjoy this one quite a bit as well. And I think, yeah, some of those things did surprise me, but yeah, didn't quite make my list. But it's a good choice. Good choice.
We covered that quite a bit, I believe. I think we have a little bit, a tiny bit. I think we have a champion. Do we have a champion on that game or not?
I don't think we do.
No, we do
We
not.
should.
It's underrated.
It is underrated.
What's he got next?
We'll go to my next one, which is one that you got, and I was like, what the heck is this game? And then I come to find out, I think it's in Tom Vasel's top 100 games. I believe that's where it came from. Project Elite.
Oh, yes.
Because when I saw the look of the box here, I'm like, oh boy, what is this? Like some war game where you gotta like look at angles, find line of sight, and do all this stuff and complicated looking at charts.
Like
Two,
the cover
3-4 hour game.
does not do it justice. It does not represent the gameplay at all.
No, because this one is a real time game, which, yeah, from that cover, I would never guess that. And it just is a lot of fun. It's over like this, and you just rolling dice, a lot of fun. I had very low expectations going into this. Although maybe once you started reading the rules, I might have been coming around on it a little bit more. But just from the look of the box, and I guess I don't know that I ever really looked into it or knew much about the game at all, obviously. And yeah, I think this one was pretty solid. I don't feel like I hear it talked about that much. I don't know if Tom Vasel's the only way you heard of it, or I guess maybe you'd heard of it from
I
others.
think I've heard of it a little bit since then, but it's not like it's a super popular game. It doesn't seem to be, at least. Yeah, this one didn't quite make my list just because I only got it because I then knew what it was.
I figured.
It's a little different for you where I got it and you still have those thoughts of what is this game until you do finally play it, and I'll be like, oh, this is completely different. This is real time dice chucking, running around a map. But that is a great one. That is the one that I'm guessing is a big surprise for a lot of people.
I 100% agree.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I think especially for looking at that box. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. Well, yeah, if you're still here, I hope you are, since we're only a few games in. But let us know in the comments below what your biggest surprises are, or in board gaming, what games were like, wow, I did not expect to like it that much, or I didn't expect it to do these weird things. And then yeah, Project Elite. If you've played this one, did you know that going in, or expect that based on that box? I don't know.
Yeah, I could see a lot of people maybe being disappointed by it as well. Just like, this looks awesome.
That's fair. That's also fair.
My next one is probably a little lower on this list because I think I've only played it once, and it is a sequel to another game that I love, Rajas of the Ganges. But this is the roll and write version, Rajas of the Ganges, the Dice Charmers. And this one, I was like, okay, it's got cool dice, and it's based on a game I love. but I think this is just going to be a cash grab. It's going to be very weak mechanisms wise, maybe not even feel like the game at all. But after playing it, I'm like, this brings a lot of the game to a roll and write version. I think it does feel a lot like that of a game. You do get a good amount of the mechanisms. I don't remember that much. It's been a long time, but I do remember thinking that actually felt like Rajas of the Ganges and a little quicker, a little more approachable, not really much setup either. And it still has those two tracks that you're trying to meet, your fame and your money, which is something I love. I was blown away by this. I did not have very high expectations.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think I got it because I must have heard some better thing. I think initially what I was hearing was not as much love for it, and but then for some reason I did end up getting it. So I think there was some that I'd heard kind of better things about it because I was hoping to like this one as well because yeah, I really love Rajas of the Ganges, and yeah, I would agree that this one it didn't make my list, but it was a little bit surprising how good it was and was able to capture a lot of feelings that Rajas give. Because yeah, especially on just this one sheet, it's surprising how much they can fit into this
Yes.
little bit here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good solid choice. And yeah,
Well,
if you do really like Rajas of the Ganges, but want maybe uh how long would it be? I mean, it's definitely quicker, like a
yeah.
20 to 30 minute version once you
Oh,
really
yeah.
know how to play it, probably, or at lower player counts at least. If you want a shorter version of the game, uh, or a travel version
Oh,
even,
yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's smaller, um, this could be a great choice for you to pick up.
Although I don't believe the elephant fits in that small box, fully
It
assembled.
does not.
So he
You had to
roams our
take them apart.
shelves.
Yes. Uh, this next one, I don't know really where to place this one, and I mean this isn't the
Yeah.
best ranking of them maybe, but this was one. I mean, definitely now, if I was learning it, I think I'd be very excited about it. Although it's hard to imagine not having to have played this before and being excited about it. I guess I don't know. I don't know exactly how to put it, but it's definitely a theme that I don't really care for, or I mean, it doesn't necessarily excite me over other themes, which is space. And this is also a very large game. I think at the time I was still maybe not into some of these bigger, heavier strategy games, longer games. And because I think I played it relatively early on, and that is Terraforming Mars.
Oh, wow. So,
I I I feel like can't remember. Maybe at the time I had heard a little bit more about it and was a little bit more excited because I knew it was like a very hot or probably on Board Game Geek was in the top 10 at the time, I would think.
yeah.
And because it's probably been quite a few years now, but it definitely seemed intimidating. We're reading these rules. I'm looking at all these cards in my hand. I'm like, oh gosh, this is going to be a slog. I don't even know what's going on here. And by the end of the game, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this game. And it's it's so good. And then as you play it more and more, it's just like, oh, now I know a lot of the cards in the deck or the types of
Yeah.
cards and what you can kind of do to, finagle, be more efficient with things and stuff. I I would never have expected this game at the time to be one of my favorite games of all time. Looking at the box cover, knowing it's kind of a space theme, looking at all
Yeah.
these cards, being overwhelmed by it, thinking, "Oh gosh, this is for those heavy gamers."
Yeah.
And now looking at it, I'm like, "Yeah, it's not probably as heavy as I once
Yeah.
imagined it was, but definitely at the time was intimidating."
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that, I mean, it has become one of my favorite games, but it's been a slow climb up the mountain. The first few plays I had were like, oh, it was okay. I got the hang of it, but then once you trained for it for the World Series of Board Gaming, and I was one of your training partners, and I ended up really falling in love with the game as well. So it just slowly creeped into my favorite. But if you did go back after that first play, or if you just showed me a picture of the game's components, I would probably be surprised to know that it would become one of my favorites, but did not make my list, sadly.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's crazy to think of you as being intimidated by some big, heavy Euro game.
I know. Yeah. I just remember though thinking at the time I was like, oh, this is gonna be a lot. This is gonna be a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure yeah, I think it was kind of a little bit later or an afternoon night, and I pretty sure I thought about it the rest of that night about how much I liked it.
That
The
is
things in the
he's mentioned that a lot of times when a game sticks in his head and he keeps thinking about it that night. It's a good
game.
one.
Mm-hmm.
My next one, I'll say in a similar way. Actually, no, I'll still go in order here. I was gonna say there's one that your reasoning really fit one of mine, but I think it deserves to be higher on my list. So I'm gonna go with a game that has a theme similar to many games that we already had. And while I'm not surprised that I liked the game, I'm surprised that it somehow topped all the other games that I loved with this
Mm.
theme. And that is Dinogenics. This one, we made a decision. I think you got me a game for my birthday years ago, I think 2019. Got me Dinosaur Island. We had kind of talked previously between Dinosaur Island and Dinogenics, and which one would maybe be the way to go. And I thought, oh, we made the right decision because I absolutely loved it. It became my favorite game of all time and has really reigned supreme until then we got the Dinosaur World, which was fantastic and just steps it up even higher. And then we finally got back to Dinogenics, and it's like, okay, this is gonna have to be really fun to really make a mark. And it was, and it topped my list of dinosaur games. We made our list of them, and I don't know how it did it. So, while I was expecting to like it probably quite a bit, I'm surprised that this somehow takes the cake.
That is fair. I did debate this one, but looking at what it does and what the game is, I'm like, if I was really looking at that, I like dinosaurs. I like worker placement. I was like, I don't know that it's really surprising to me that I would end up liking the game. So
Yeah.
I ended up not making my list, but I will agree that it was one that came to mind of it was a very positive surprise of how much I enjoy Dinogenics. That is a good choice, and unlike you, I don't think this one necessarily needs to be at the top. So I'm gonna kind of stick with this theme of dinosaurs, and I'm gonna go with one that surprised me, and it is God's Love Dinosaurs. I I don't know. My expectations going into this one, I was like, it's got the dinosaur theme, so give it a try, and you know, see if I end up liking it or not. I don't know if it'll be an amazing game because there's so many great dinosaur games. And then we played it, and I'm just like, it just feels so unique compared to, I mean, a lot of those dinosaur games, like you named, you're managing a park and stuff. This is definitely different than that. You are managing more of like I don't know if it's an ecosystem or what you'd call it. The food chain you're
Yeah.
managing because you've got kind of the different animals there, and then the different ones eat smaller ones, and then the dinosaurs eat the medium-sized things, and managing those land masses, and it was just a lot of fun. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did, and I'm like, wow, this one actually could be a contender, even though it feels very different. And I feel like I don't always like these style of games because it is
Yeah.
kind of abstract feeling when you're
Yes.
kind of having to build these patterns of land masses and kind of get things in lines potentially or get them just in certain ways, setting them up
Yeah.
to be eaten is something I don't always like. And for some reason, this one, it clicks and I really love it.
Yeah, it really does work, and it's such a interesting system as you're building up to then just eat it all up for
Yes.
victory points. And you can come to a grinding halt sometimes in the game.
Yep.
Which, we
You
have
gotta manage it.
You got to keep it going. So yeah, that's a good pick. That's a good pick. I do like that one quite a bit. But yeah, that one could have maybe been on mine. I wrote it down a little bit on a short list, but didn't quite make the list. Okay, what do we got next? How about this one? I think a few of these, it's just like comes out of nowhere. Never really had a chance to get an opinion on the game. And one of these, it helps when it's on Board Game Arena, and you select a game, and we just start playing it, and we play it, and play it, and play it, until we finally are able to beat the game. We become addicted to it. Paint the Roses. This one is a deduction game where you get cards into your hand that tell you some pairing of, what was it, symbols or colors or something like that, and you have to place tiles out onto the board to create pairings with what the symbols on that tile and adjacent tiles that match your secret objective card. And you put cubes on there. Everyone puts cubes on there for how many pairings of their specific secret combo that tile placement had made on the board. And you would use deduction and try to figure out and guess correctly what their cards are, and you draw more cards, and you keep going to try and get enough victory points to stay ahead of there's another token that is moving along the track. Yes, when trying to capture your person, where you really got to get moving. You can't just do the easy ones
You do.
again and again.
And I think by the time we did end up winning, I think I don't know, maybe we were doing something wrong, should have been doing it differently, but I feel like we found one strategy that we almost had to do just to have any chance of winning. It felt like, but yeah, I totally forgot about this one, but that's definitely a good pick because I wouldn't have necessarily thought I could become addicted to this type of game. And I'm guessing part of it was maybe just the fact that once we did beat it, then it was kind of like, shoot, kind of took some of the air out of it a little bit. But you can always continue to try to do better and better and better. But yeah, this was unexpected how many times we would play this one.
Yeah, it was. It was just kind of the
probably
go-to.
ended up being one of our top played in that year, if I had to guess.
Oh yeah,
just because of that.
For sure.
That is a good pick. And another unique game.
Oh yeah.
Compared to other things we've played. And then I've got my next one. And I honestly don't remember exactly what I thought of this one. This one I do believe we have a video on, a game we champion. And it is a Verb and Write game. And it is Era Medieval Age.
Oh yes.
I'm kind of the one that really champions this one, I would say. I probably like it more than like you and Michaela, I think. Maybe you guys like it a lot. But I don't know. I mean, when you're looking at it, I'm like, yeah, this might be kind of maybe a little bit too involved, too many rules going on, and I don't know, maybe a little bit too much to manage. But I think it just really works. It's a lot simpler than it looks when you've got kind of the chart of, oh, all these buildings do these different things, and you got to manage them well. And then the board maybe looks a little blah in comparison to all these buildings, but I think the game is really solid in the way that it all kind of flows together. You're rolling these dice in order to kind of have certain outcomes of either resources or builds, and then possibly some negative things happening. I think it just all flows way better together than I would have ever thought that it could. And after playing this one, I was like, this is a really solid game. And I think if Michaela liked it more, I probably would have bought a copy myself. My brother-in-law actually owns this one. So I really, really enjoyed that play of it. And I did not have that expectation going into the game.
Yeah, yeah. I
I don't
enjoyed
I don't
my.
know that I had like a negative thought necessarily
Oh,
going into
yeah,
it, but I was
yeah.
like,
I enjoyed my play of it. I have only played it once, I believe, in our
oh.
tournament, so I would like to get back to it, see if it is
Mhm.
high up there for me, and maybe then you will get a reason to purchase it.
And Steven must have had a similar feeling to me because I, unknown to me until I recently saw him again, he had said that he had bought a copy of it after the tournament. And I was like, So he
Hmm,
must have had very similar feeling to what I did after playing it the first time.
that's good. Getting more people to buy a game.
There we go.
Okay, what do we got here? Let's go with kind of related. We played this in a tournament, I believe last year's tournament, and this is a game, an early gift for you for your birthday that you got at, was it Essen?
No, not
Essen's
Essen.
Field, not Essen. Where was
I
this? Indy,
Gen Con.
Gen Con. That's what it was. Not
I did
Essen.
not
Yeah,
I did not go to
Essen.
Germany, Pepper. I did not go to
Oh, you
Germany.
didn't? You didn't?
I
Yes, you got it at Gen
like
Con,
to go to Essen.
Indianapolis.
Maybe
It's
one year.
close. It's close.
They're kind of close to each other.
But
I
this
know what you
game,
meant.
we had not. Is it Euro? Euro.
This one was on my short list.
Oh, boy, I thought this might make your list. It's the game.
I
Oh, it
was
means
debating.
Sacred Valley. I didn't even know that was the name of the game.
Hmm. I did
Yeah,
not
it
know that
had
it had that name either.
the foreign language on the cover in our version,
Hmm.
and it was what Urubamba Valley. And this is not a game that we'd ever heard of, and it's like, okay, yes, there it is. So Urubamba Valley or Sacred Valley, however you want to pronounce it. It looked cool. It had multiple layers
Yeah.
to the board, which is kind of a gimmick, but it still looked
Right.
cool. You had some llamas and some nice, colorful goods tiles that you'd be planting. But I'm like, still, I have no clue if this is going to be good at all. I don't know what these mechanisms are going to be. And we played it, and on that first play, I'm like, that was really good. That was a really solid game. And on continual plays, I still feel that way. It's just more and more sure in my head that, okay, this is a really good game and one of my favorites. And I missed it in my rankings. I think when we did our top 10 and top 20 of the year, I think one of you
Mhm.
mentioned it, and I'm like, oh, I definitely missed that in my ranking system because that would very much have been in mine. But yeah, you're
Mhm.
planting goods out onto the board. A lot of familiar mechanisms of buying upgrade tiles and buying goods and planting them onto the board, creating groups and uh, being more and more valuable as the group gets bigger and selling and just getting a ton of coins. It's so feels so rewarding and satisfying, and especially the upgrade tiles can be fantastic. I really
Mhm.
like this one. It can be a little take that, and you can cut off other
There's a little bit of
people's
that.
goods, but it wasn't too bad.
No, I would agree. This one it probably should have made my list because yeah, there was that obviously like, oh, is this gimmick of the layered board just kind of all the game is potentially, and it's maybe just a simple as you're growing those fields, gaining kind of points and stuff on that. I'm like, does that is that really a tough thing, or is that just kind of a little bit of a gimmicky thing? And it was really solid. I 100% agree. Uh, yeah, that one should have made my list. It was pretty surprising that it ended up being even more than I would have expected.
Yeah, yep.
But I'm glad it made your list. I knew it was going to make your list.
I
That's
knew
why
it.
I didn't put it on mine so that we could have more games. Um, then my next one here. Uh, I think going into this, I was probably still a little scared and wasn't really sure, but I think it was on a sale or something, so it was a good deal. And a lot of people had liked it, so I thought, we'll give it a try, see what I think of it. And it is So much fun. It's got amazing stories. It is Forgotten Waters,
Yes.
which also inspired me to buy the more recent one, Freelancers, which is kind of in the same type
Yeah.
genre
Yeah.
of game. And yeah, this I did not expect this to be as fun as it was.
I forgot that you didn't really have much interest in this one.
Right.
I totally forgot that because you have that sense, like your first play, absolutely loved it.
hmm Yeah, I love the story. The voice acting on the thing makes it great. You're filling in the little what's the name of them? What are
Oh,
they called?
Mad Libs.
Mad Libs. Yep. It just all comes together on a great package. And even though there's like all this text on that page and stuff, you think, oh, these story games sometimes are a bit much, but no, in this one, you're picking the actions based on the symbols, and then you're reading the things after that. So it's not you're timed trying to do that. So you only have like was it like 30 seconds, 60 seconds or
Yeah.
something to pick those locations. And yeah, that just makes the game flow so well. Even though it still does take 3 hours, it feels like it just kind of flies by. I really, really like this game. Love this game. And going into it, my expectations were like, I don't know, this could just be kind of strange, kind of weird, too much reading possibly. I wasn't really sure what to expect.
Yeah. 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 The
And I
act and
was
the
very happy about it.
voice acting is fantastic.
hmm
Okay, let's go to a heavy one that I didn't think I would like. I'm not as big a fan of heavy, crunchy games as you, and I definitely wasn't that interested in the T series of games.
Oh boy.
I believe I might have played Zolkin first on Board Game Arena with you, and I wasn't that big of a fan of it, so that made me even less interested in the other ones. But for some reason, I decided to solo Tekhenu, Obelisk of the Sun, and maybe it was that just a little bit of confidence getting that first solo practice game in there that's really helped me play this game and enjoy it. But something about it is just works. I just absolutely love this game and what it does, and I ignore some of the sections. I ignore that columns whole section of the board. I couldn't care less about that. But everything else, all these cards at the bottom, getting the bonuses, special scoring opportunities, and trying to chain those together a little bit. This is a wonderful layout of all these components. My goodness.
It is wonderful and it shows how much there is in the game,
It does. It
which is
does.
definitely probably was even more intimidating for you.
Yes. But yeah, the production is pretty nice. It has a big toy obelisk that goes in there, and these dice are kind of getting aged and being more and less valuable based on where the shadow of the obelisk is. It's not shiny gold like this. I'm guessing this person has painted there, so don't expect that. But I like the dice system and everything it does. Just a few of those little mini games on the board. I really enjoy how they tie together.
Yeah, I like this one quite a bit, and I think after the initial game, and I haven't played this one as much as Teotihuacan, but I think with more plays, I've grown to like Teotihuacan more than this one. But
Yeah.
probably the one for me, and I've only played it once, but Tiletum Teletum, which I think is maybe technically still in the T series. I'm not sure if it is or not. But that one, if I was going to pick a T game that kind of did this kind of thing for me, it was that one. It just had a lot of great things. Even though Euro games, I don't think any of these would have been on my list because I go
Uh,
into them like hoping that I'll love these things. So I don't know that they could really make my list, but that one would probably make it for me. But this one was also right up there. Uh, it's a lot of fun. But I definitely could tell you enjoyed it way more than I would have ever guessed you would enjoy it. And I'm kind of curious. I'm wondering if this will be your last Euro game.
well,
Surprise.
we will
We will
see.
have to see. But yeah, we can get to my next one. And this one is one that I played at 2D Con It was one that played with a couple, and they just brought over some games. They had never played them either, and one of them was Fit to Print, uh, which is one that I'm like, I don't know. I don't think I knew what this game even was. I just thought like, oh, it's some polyomino game. You're putting a newspaper together. I wasn't really sure how you were doing it or whatnot. And I did not realize. So this is actually surprisingly, I did not realize this till right now. It's the real time game, a second real time game in my top 10 list. And yeah, it's just craziness. You're picking up these different ads, these different things, and you're picking them from the pile, which is face down, and you hold them in your hand, and you either put them on your little desk there, or you put them back face up into the pile. If you put it on your desk, you have to add it into your newspaper for that round. But what you're doing is you're picking up all of those, filling your desk up, and you have to kind of decide when you're done with everything on your desk, because once you've decided that, and then you're going to that next step, which I believe is, if I remember right, this is all timed. You're doing that part first, and then you're putting your paper together, and it's all within a time limit. Uh, and then you got to make do with what you have on that desk. You want to hope that you don't have a lot of things left over, because those will count negative against you. Which I think, if I remember right, Michaela, the first round, either didn't understand that rule or thought it was something different or something. And she was like, "Wait, you're not supposed to have these?" Um, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm like actually considering buying the game because I thought it was just that much fun. I don't know. I
Yeah,
wonder if
that's
with a lot of plays if you'd get a really good idea of how many to take and stuff, but I feel with the time limit, it's so hard to because you're
oh,
managing several things too. You can't put the same type next to each other. You
yeah.
want to make it equally happy and sad, so you're looking at all of these different things, and it's just a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Yeah, I look forward to trying that one. That sounds like the perfect amount of chaos.
Yes, I think you would like it.
Yeah. My number three, we're in the top three now.
Oh boy.
Final countdown. This was one that we had gotten for your birthday, also 2019. 2019 was a great year for games. And, got you a few games for your birthday, a handful, and this was one that I think I was least interested in.
Hmm.
I mean, what did we get? We got Ethnos, which we actually had played by that time. We ended up going to the Dark Den and playing it. Had ordered it, but you hadn't opened it yet, so I was nervous there, but we all enjoyed it, so that wasn't a surprise because I knew I liked it. Scoville, I was interested in because I really loved the cover. And the third one was The
Wow.
Quacks of Quedlinburg, which, I mean, that name was not drawing me in at all, and the artwork wasn't really drawing me in at all. The theme wasn't drawing me in. And I'm like, I'm just not interested in this at all. It's like I was newer into the games, and I wanted exciting themes like dinosaurs or something like that, and this just wasn't for me seeming. And we played it, and it's just a pure. Those components are not in the game, but they're pretty cool, and it's a pure push your luck game, drawing chips, and we ended up getting beautiful Geek Up Bit chips for the game. But even in that first play with those cardboard chips, pure push your luck, trying not to bust with those white chips and trying to get as far along this track as possible and customizing your specific engine and the abilities that you're firing off was unlike anything else that I'd ever played, and it has become in my top 5 games of all time.
This one is really good, but yeah, obviously with me wanting this one, I think I was just more excited. I didn't even remember you not being excited about this one, but now that you say it, now I feel like I kind of remember that a little bit, that you didn't have as much interest in it. But yeah, I totally forgot that you were not that interested in this one. So that's awesome that
Yeah,
you ended up liking it.
it is, and it's just one of my favorite games of all time. It's part of my identity as a gamer. It's one of those core games, and I think it could be number one because it is so high on my list, and I had like very little interest. But I've liked it for so long now that it's hard to really feel like I was ever against the game. But I know that I was at one point, not all in, so had to be on the list.
Yeah, and going back to Steven, I know this is actually one that he felt very much the opposite of you. He played it once and he did not enjoy it at all. He really hated the game. So it definitely, if you don't like push your luck, don't like, you can have a little bit of control depending on what you've bought and put in your bag, but at the end of the day, you can
Yeah,
pull those white cherry bomb garlic, whatever it is, and it just happens. And if you don't like that, this one will not be one that'll surprise you in a good way.
yeah. But you can have a terrible round, you can have two terrible rounds, and it can still swing, and you can still win the game. That's what I love about it. You're never out of it.
Okay, I think there are some
Not
times where you might be
sometimes
out of
you
it,
can be out of it, but
but yeah,
halfway through, you're probably not out of it.
that's true. That is true. Yeah, that was a good pick. I would not have even thought that was on your list because I didn't even think about it. Uh, but when you had mentioned Board Game Arena earlier, I thought this was the game that you were going to mention. Not this game, not Quacks, but the game, my number three, which is Regicide. I I just remembered the name or the word Regicide from RuneScape, and I'm like, huh. And it's an iconic quest in RuneScape. It's like known to just be a pain in the butt. I think people hate. It's one of the most hated quests. It's like hours long, and you fall off these things and have to do it over and over again. If I remember right, it's been 15, 20 years probably since I did that quest, so it's been a while. But I just remember it from that, and then I saw the artwork. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty cool artwork. I give it a try, and I ended up really loving this game. Well, I shouldn't speak for you. I think you love it. It's just way better than I would have ever imagined. It was not. I wasn't. I don't know what I was expecting, but it was not that. I was just like, wow, it's just so simple and clever. Like when I say simple, it's just like a simple concept to grasp once you are
Yes.
doing it. Like, okay, the suits do different things, and you have to kind of manage pandemic, not pandemic style, but like, it just makes me think of pandemic where you're managing these different ways that you could potentially lose.
Yep.
Just trying to avoid those different things by, making sure you still have enough cards in your hand and keeping your deck that you're pulling those cards from restocked and stuff.
Yeah.
It just works really well. It's really cool that it can be done with just a deck of cards. Uh, yeah, I really love this one. They have a legacy version coming out now, and I am very, very tempted by that, which is just kind of insane to think about since it is core base that it is. It's just a deck of cards. It's crazy that I could think like, oh, legacy. I'm actually really excited about a deck of card legacy game.
That is crazy, and I do love this one, and I totally agree. It's my number two. Regicide, just a deck of card game on Board Game Arena. What is this? I didn't know that story of RuneScape and kind of how it caught your eye, but that's a pretty cool story to introduce one of our favorite games this past year or so. Just we played it so much and absolutely loved it. I would have never just seen this. I mean, the cover is cool, so it might have caught my eye sometime, but I would never even be looking for this type of game, and it's something special.
Mhm.
For sure.
I 100% agree. I would definitely, if you have not played it and you like card games, I would look into this and see, especially if you like playing card games with your family and stuff. I think this is one that you could teach them and they would understand. You could bring it out at one of your family game nights or something like that, that you have with maybe extended family too.
Yeah, yeah,
And you don't even need their deck of cards, even though I think the artwork looks very good in that. But yeah, I'll let you, since I have stolen your thunder on two of your picks, if you want to name one of your ones that didn't quite make your 10, just to kind of
Oh,
fill out our numbers a little bit.
yeah. My 11 and 10. So I was between Firenze. Ended up making the list. And another one, which hopefully I can steal a little bit of your thunder, and this is your number two, uh, was Twilight Inscription, and that is a Twilight Imperium game, but a roll and write. And this one, just in like, I've been all over the place on what I've expected from this game. I'm like, okay, Twilight Imperium as a roll and write. This might be the approachable version that I'm going to enjoy and maybe get a little bit of that experience. And it might be a simpler version. And then you look and you see you get 4 massive boards, everyone gets one, and you have a central board. And I'm like, okay, never mind. This is going to be way too much still for me to even be able to handle. And then you hear some really good things about it. I think Mike DeLisio really liked it. And then I got a little more interested, but was still cautious of how approachable this would be. But once I played it, I was just like, oh, this is so smooth. It's so easy to play. You just get your resources and you choose one of your boards. And it's really simple actions that, I mean, you just catch on so quickly. And we played it, I believe, at a very high player count. Was it? I don't think it was it the max player count? I think it
I
goes
don't know
up
if it was the max or
8.
just one under the max.
But
It
yeah, we
was
had like
close.
6, 7,
If
or
it
8
wasn't.
people, and everyone, I think, got. I'm not going to say everyone enjoyed it, but I think everyone understood the game and got with it pretty quickly. So, I mean, that just
Which,
tells you all
right.
different gameplay, what people enjoy and don't enjoy, and they all were able to understand this one and get playing pretty quickly.
Right. Which
Yeah.
we've never played Twilight Imperium, like any of them, the 4th edition or any of the editions. So I would assume that could not have been done in the same way, introducing like 5, 4, 5, 6 new people to that game. I don't think you could easily do that in a game night and just do it. This, we were able to do that. This one didn't even cross my mind. But now that you brought it up, I'm like, even though I was excited and hopeful for it because I was like, you know, I've always wanted to try Twilight Imperium 4th edition. I thought this is the way to maybe experience it. I know a lot of people would probably say that this doesn't give you even close to the experience, and that I could understand it. That's fair. But what they did do with it, I really, really love this game as well. It's a great roll and write game,
Yeah.
and it's much more approachable than it first looks because you can even kind of do the walkthrough scenario type thing with those first few turns, and that makes it really easy to go through. So that was a very pleasant surprise with it for how much is going on there. That is a solid pick. And I'm trying to think because I don't think my number 1 would actually be on your list. My number 2, it could be. I'm not 100% sure what your number 1 is. So I don't know if I should do my number 1. My number 2 could be on your list. Number 1, I don't think it is because you were the one that got the game. So I'll just go with that one. It is another one kind of like Project Elite that you got. And I'm like, what the heck is this, Pepper? Why are you getting this?
Oh,
You're a fool. It's a Cthulhu themed game. What is this, Pepper? Why are you looking these games up and buying these weird games?
You've gotten into a cult, Pepper.
Cthulhu Death May Die is my number 1. I don't know, you might have my number 2 as your number 1, so I didn't want to put it on there. And yeah, it's just a really, really fun game. I would not have expected what the game is from the cover either. This one just totally shocked me because I guess when I hear this one, I just think of other games that I have not played. So I'm not saying I wouldn't enjoy these games if I played them, but like the Arkham Horror series, it makes me think of that and stuff. And all these are like, I believe they're kind of story driven and stuff, and a lot of potentially reading and I don't know, just kind of more intense feeling. And that is what I thought this was, and it definitely is not. I mean, there's a little bit of story of flavor, what you're doing and stuff, but you're kind of setting up a scenario, and then you're going and trying to do these things, which I would argue kind of feel a little bit similar. Even the different ones feel a little bit similar from game to game. Slightly different, but kind of similar at the same time. But the fun of it is just going more and more insane and just rolling more and more dice, becoming more and more destructive as you're going by, and just the I don't know, the great fun that it brings out is just greatness. You just don't
It
want to play
is.
with Michaela because we had like a winning streak going, and every time she's played, I think we've lost. Those have been our only losses. But I don't know what she thought about it. I think she was fine with it. I don't know that she loved it as much as I think we both do. Uh, but
Yeah.
yeah, this one definitely surprised me. It probably my number one surprise just based on a theme that I had no interest in, and I don't know, just this big box game. I'm like, what is this? Like some story driven, long, grudging story, weird madness. I don't know. And yeah, it was really, really good.
Yeah, and this one it's yeah, just that first turn when you start running and everything chases you. You just it kind of throws you off and you're like, "Oh boy, what have I signed up for? This is crazy." It's wild. I wish I
It
could put
is
it on
wild.
my list because it's a great game, but I knew a little bit of what I was.
Yeah, I figured that wouldn't be on your list. So, but
Yeah.
I think my number one. Do you think it's my number? Well, my number two. Do you think your number one's my number two?
I don't know if you would. I know you were kind of surprised on it. I don't think it would be your number two though, but
Okay.
it's a lighter game. It's yours a lighter game.
Lighter to medium, maybe.
Okay, now then they are not the same.
Okay.
This was uh, I didn't even order this game. You didn't order this game. This is a game that our mother
Oh,
saw on Amazon.
yeah. I
I
did
think it
not
was
this.
$9. What were you gonna say?
No, it's not this one. But I did not think of this one, and I've only played this one once.
That's true. That's true. This she saw a good deal on it and thought some of the pieces looked really cool and ordered it. And I'm like, what is this game? I've never heard of it. And it is Mystic Market. So my first thought, I was like, okay, that's a cool cover, pretty colorful, and the cards in here as well are really nice artwork. And then the big selling point, it's this kind of maneuvering market of vials of goods, but they're just these jars of sparkly, glittery goodness, and it's I'm like, okay, this looks
A little
really
bit of a gimmick.
a little bit of a gimmick, but it's you need the gimmick. It works. You
It looks really good. It does look really good.
so yeah, it's pretty much a set collection game. You get sets of cards, and you buy them from a market for their kind of price based on where their vial is located here. So you pay kind of those little circles there, coins equal to where it is. And then once you sell a full set, like either a set of two, three, or four, based on which color it is, you will get in coins this top number. And every time you do sell, then it resets to the top, and everything just cycles down so perfectly. It's one of the greatest little component gimmicks. It's like so perfect and needed that it's almost not even a gimmick. It's essential. I can't imagine playing without it. But it's fantastic, and it's I would say to set collection what Sushi Go Party is to drafting. This
Oh,
is
wow.
I would say just a very good go-to uh, introduction to set collection. And there are additional cards that you can have in there that add a little more strategy and variability to it. Some of them have take that, but you can remove those. We have played with those cards without the take that ones, and I believe you played with them as well. So you can mix it up a few different ways. But I was just blown away by this, not knowing anything going into it, and one of my go-to fillers.
Yeah, I think based on the fact that I had only played it once and it's been a long time, I did not even think about this one. But I do remember in the play, I was like, wow, this is really pretty good. And I did not expect it to be that because I, at the time, had not heard of the game either. And I'm like, she's just buying a game on Amazon. Could be, you know, especially if it was showing up. I'm like, it just could be some kind of mass markety style game. Wasn't really sure. But yeah, no, it was, I remember it being really good. I need to play this one again for sure. Um, Definitely needs to be on my list of games I need to play a second and third and fourth time.
25th
Full
time.
set collection.
What would
That is a
his,
good pick.
what would his number 2 be? Would it be on my? So he thinks that it could have been
I
on
felt
my
like it
list.
could have been. Maybe not. And to be fair to the first game, I guess it ended up being about what I thought. But then after like the second play, that is when I decided that it was really
Oh,
good and decided to
that's
get
right.
into it.
That's right. That might have probably been. That should have probably been in consideration. I believe
Uh,
I
a game system
yes.
I've gotten very much into, and that is Unmatched. And
That's
yeah,
true.
I just going into this, I don't know how many games would we have had at the time that were kind of just head to head kind of combat style game. I don't know what you'd call it. Combat. It is
Yeah.
combat games where it's just a one on one. I mean, technically you could play more with it, but I
I
think it
don't
thrives
think
one on one.
not many. Not many. Maybe just one or two I would think of. But yeah.
Yeah, like draining your opponent's health and stuff. I think it wasn't really, and I still don't know that it necessarily is our style of game or our group style of game for sure. But yeah, what unmatched it and like just battlers in general. I think I don't know if at the time we would have had it, but we had played Memoir 44, and
Oh yes.
there are just some things with like the terrain and stuff and line of sight, and it's just kind of like, eh, I think I was fine with that one, but wasn't like as good as I thought it would be. This one, I was like, is it really that exciting? And then I was playing it, I'm like, the line of sight as I play it more and more, so simple, makes sense. You're not having to be like, oh, I got to measure from the center of this to the center of that and see
Yeah.
if there's anything blocking. Nope, you're just looking at the circles. What colors are they? Those are in the same zone technically if you're ranged fighter, or yeah, just next to the other person. You got the connections. It's so simple in that way, and then the different characters with their different abilities, crazy cards that can do some insane things, the ability as the opponent to potentially stop those cards with a feint card. It just is amazing. The production on all of it, I really enjoy the production in like almost every aspect. I think the health dials look cool. They have good art on those. The minis I really like with kind of that darker wash on it.
Oh yes.
I think it looks really good. I know there are some people that like paint theirs and stuff and add maybe some stuff to kind of the ground and stuff, which also look very cool.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do that personally. So I think these look already pretty good. Uh, and then the cards, the art on them is amazing. And yeah, now we bought almost everything unmatched. So
Yeah.
it's
This is
it's one that I went from. I the only reason I think we ended up getting it is because we did predictions on I think Dice Tower Awards one year and ended up getting game. I think I bought you the first unmatched Cobble and Fog because it was an award winner or a winner, and then I was like, or I think we were putting a game on the line, one of the nominees that we didn't have or something, and I am so glad that we did because now it's like in my probably top five.
yeah. It's crazy. And I remember after the first play because I was much more excited I think than you about the game and or a little bit more excited. And after the first play, it was just kind of calmed down and cooled down. I was like, huh, that wasn't anything that special, but something happened. Just adding those additional plays and really seeing the differences of the characters, and it just skyrocketed for both of us. And I guess then it probably kind of went similar to Terraforming Mars, where it just slowly and then quickly just shoots to the top of my favorite games. I guess that
Hmm.
is kind of a surprise. So I just didn't consider it because I was excited initially, but then it kind of dipped and then shot up. So yeah, this could maybe make a short list, but yeah, I was not. Completely forgot that this could be in your list. It makes sense now that I think about it.
Yeah, what did I? what was maybe my next one? I did have Downfall of Pompeii, and I thought that might make your list.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. That's one.
I think that
That's
one was a lot funner than I thought, but at the same time, I don't know that it didn't meet expectations, or I mean, I don't know that I went in with, oh, this is going to be terrible. So I was like,
Mhm.
I don't know that I was totally negative against it at any point, or
Yeah,
thinking it couldn't be good. Um,
yeah, yeah. It's a crazy game.
it is.
For sure.
And that's what I feel like some of these are. It's crazy, and that's makes it even crazier that they would end up being ones that I like so much. But,
Yeah.
any other good shouts you've got?
I have too many to mention. Too many games here. Just pretty much any
Sounds
heavy
good.
game that I end up liking. Yeah.
Sounds good. But yeah, if you've made it this far and enjoyed this video, we'd love it if you give us a thumbs up, subscribe for future ones, and yeah, let us know, like I said, what your biggest surprises are, and yeah, maybe something we should be checking out that maybe we wouldn't think we'd like, and maybe we will. Uh, but yeah, otherwise, we hope to see you on our other videos, and as always, don't forget to keep on nibbling on our content.